When Armin Meiwes was 12 years old, his entire world had already started closing in on him. His parents split up, his brothers packed their bags and left, and just like that, it was down to two people in that house, Armin and his mother, Waltraud. And let me tell you, Waltraud was not a normal woman. 3 marriages, 3 failures. One ex-husband later said she was emotionally brutal, the kind of person who made everyday life feel like walking through a minefield. Another marriage ended in something almost unthinkable. Her husband tried to kill them both by flooding their home with gas. She lived, he didn't. He spent his final days in a psychiatric hospital. But here's the story that really throws people for a loop. Back in 1965, Waltraud walked into a police station and accused another woman of murder. No evidence, no explanation. When investigators finally sat both women down together and asked her to back up the claim, she just collapsed, faked a faint, right there in the room. Nobody ever got a straight answer out of her. To this day, it's a total mystery. Now, as Armin got older, something else started raising eyebrows. His relationship with his mother. She'd tag along on his dates. She'd follow him on his walks. She called him Minkin, his childhood pet name, in front of his co-workers. And when he was 20 years old, a full-grown man, she hung a sign on his bedroom door. It said, "Children's bedroom." People noticed. Of course they noticed. And yet, somehow, Armin turned into what looked like a totally average guy. In 1981, he enlisted in the German army and put in 12 years of service. Since home was close by, he drove back every single night instead of staying on base. After the military, he retrained as a computer technician. He was courteous, well put together, always willing to lend a hand. He ran community events, babysat the neighborhood kids, threw on the Santa suit every Christmas, even taught local teens how to drive. People genuinely liked this guy. On the surface, Armin Meiwes was as unremarkable as they come. Everyone figured he'd eventually settle down, get married, start a family. For a moment, it looked like he might. He got engaged, but he called it off, in his own words, because his fiancée reminded him too much of his mother. He tried again through matchmaking services, but those relationships fell apart too, once he opened up about being attracted to both men and women. Years kept passing, Armin stayed single, and his neighbors kept seeing the same reliable, friendly face they'd always known. What none of them realized was that he was hiding something enormous. Then, in 1999, Waltraud died. For the first time in his entire life, Armin was completely alone, rattling around a 44-room farmhouse that had once been full of people. But by his own account, the loneliness had started way before that. His father was gone, his brothers were gone, his pets had died, even his grandmother had passed. Piece by piece, everyone he cared about had disappeared. He said that's when he started fantasizing about someone who would never leave, someone permanent. As a kid, he'd had an imaginary friend named Frankie, and slowly, that childhood loneliness twisted itself into something else entirely. Armin didn't just want company anymore. He wanted permanence, someone who would literally become a part of him. That fantasy evolved into cannibalism. In the early internet era, Armin went looking for people who shared this exact obsession. He found online forums built around cannibal fantasy and roleplay. He used the name Frankie, the same name as that childhood imaginary friend, and he started posting. He wasn't hunting for a victim to overpower. He was hunting for someone who would say yes. A few people responded at first, but once they realized he was dead serious, they vanished. Then, in early 2001, someone didn't vanish. His name was Bernd Jürgen Brandes, a 43-year-old engineer from Berlin. Like Armin, Bernd had spent years online chasing this exact fantasy, except Bernd wanted the other half of it. He wanted to be eaten. The two exchanged messages for weeks, and in March 2001, they agreed to meet at Armin's farmhouse. What happened next would go down as one of the strangest criminal cases the modern world has ever seen. On March 9, 2001, Bernd made the trip from Berlin. Much of what followed was caught on video. Investigators later confirmed the two men had planned everything out in advance, and that Bernd repeatedly reaffirmed he wanted to go through with it. Hours later, Bernd was dead. Over the following months, Armin stored parts of the body in freezers and ate them gradually, later claiming it made him feel like he'd absorbed some of Bernd's intelligence. For over a year, nobody had any idea what had happened. Then, in 2002, Armin posted again online, looking for another willing participant. This time, someone who saw it reported it to the police. Investigators traced it back to the farmhouse, got a warrant, and searched the property. Inside, human remains in the freezers, and the tape documenting Bernd's final visit. The disappearance was solved. Bernd hadn't vanished. He'd never left that house. When police arrested Armin, he didn't fight it. He confessed on the spot. But the real legal battle was just beginning, because the question wasn't, did he do it? It was what to call it. Bernd had come there on his own. He'd agreed beforehand. He'd confirmed it over and over. So German courts were left staring down one of the strangest legal questions imaginable. Can a person actually consent to their own death? In 2004, the court ruled that Bernd had participated willingly and convicted Armin of manslaughter. 8.5 years. Prosecutors weren't satisfied. They appealed, arguing that consent can never legalize killing someone. 2 years later, a retrial landed on a very different verdict. In 2006, Armin Meiwes was convicted of murder and handed a life sentence. He's still in prison today. He's expressed remorse, applied for early release more than once, denied every time. More than 20 years on, this case is still being picked apart by psychologists, criminologists, ethicists, legal experts, not because it's the most violent story out there, but because it forces all of us to sit with a question that doesn't have an easy answer. Can someone truly consent to being killed?